Okay, everybody, this is going to be a quick tutorial, kind of just a real brief overview, really, of simple mixing in a multi-track session in Adobe 3.0. And so this is just to kind of help you get an idea of the things that you can do while you're in multi-track and you have multiple files going and you want to mix something together. So I put this together just kind of as an instructory thing. So take a listen, and it's going to sound real bad right out of the gate. Check it out. Let's work on our mix down. I don't want my music to drown out what I'm saying, so I have to be mindful of all of my volume for all of my parts, especially my sound effects and especially my music bed. Okay, so real quick, you can tell that there's a lot of problems in my mix right here. There's pieces that are much too loud, and there's pieces that are just too soft, and then music that's way too loud underneath and maybe not enough impact on this particular sound effect. So we're going to go in. I'm going to show you just kind of a real brief how-to on how to fix some of that stuff pretty simply. So the first thing that jumps out to me is when we get to kind of the percussion section on this Billy Joel piece, I have to be mindful of all of my volume. It kind of loses all the momentum we had going in this part of the audio. So there's a couple different things that you can do when you're in multitrack. If you've ever played around on it, you can see here, this is called your volume envelope. And at the top, there's these little boxes, and I can even create more boxes if I want to, okay? I can Control Z and get rid of them too. So what I want to do with this, I'm going to zoom in, Control and scroll to zoom in. I'm going to create a couple of these little boxes right on this little volume line. Now, if I click and drag this box, it's actually pulling down the volume right here on this piece of audio. So check it out. Be mindful of all of my... You see how it got way quieter, but it still didn't sound great. So I'm going to actually take this part now, drag it to the left. It's not changing the volume, but what it's doing is it's introducing a little fade right there. So it might make it feel a little bit better. So I have to be mindful of all of my volume. Probably still a little too dramatic, but you get the idea. I can play with this until it sounds about right. I can grab this in my volume envelope. Well, I added an extra one there, didn't want to. I can play with this until it kind of has a better feel where it sounds a little more fluid and it makes a little more sense. And I need to probably throw one on the end here too, so it sounds a little less dramatic and a little more real and intentional, which is definitely key. So let's listen now. Found out what I'm saying. So I have to be mindful of all of my volume for all of my parts, especially my sound effects. So that sounds a little bit better. It's not perfect, so maybe we want to change something down on this speech right here, on the actual spoken word we've got rather than just the music. So there's another thing I can do without messing with the volume envelope. If I look right here on the actual entire track 3, this is a little volume meter. Now the catch to this is if I turn it up, it turns up every inch of sound on here. It turns it all up 5.6 decibels. So that's pretty hot now. So maybe I'll just bump it up 2 and it'll change that entire file, and let's see what it sounds like now. Out what I'm saying. So I have to be mindful of all of my volume for all of my parts, especially my sound effects. I think that sounds a whole lot better. This might be a little too much right at the end here, but it sounds a whole lot better. So that's something that you can play around with. It's 2 different ways to change the audio to make the bed go down a little, maybe not so immediately dramatic, like a big drop off like there where it sounds just real bad, but throw some fade onto it. Maybe you won't notice it as much, and pull this audio up in the entire track and see how that affects the sound of it. So, and I think it made a big difference. Now, moving on from that, there's something to be done here on my sound effect. I don't think it has very much pop, and so I wanted to do a little more right here. So there's not terribly much that I can do as far as increasing this volume right here with my sound envelope, because I can't push it up. I don't want to come over here and turn up the entire track because I just want this sound effect to get turned up. So there's probably a better way to do this, but the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go into that, if I can get this back to 0, I'm going to go into that sound effect file itself, double click it, it brings it up in edit view, and I'm just going to boost the audio on this side of it. So And we know if I go to my amplitude and compression, I can normalize it or I can amplify it. Or simply right here, look, there's a little volume indicator right here. I can bump it up and you can actually see it. Let's just go right there because it's not peeking out on the top or bottom and it looks fine. Now, if I switch to multitrack, don't even have to upload it again. It increases the peak on this side too. So now let's listen. My sound effects, and especially my music. And it's got, if I can stop this, and that's got a whole lot more kick to it. My sound effects, and that sounds like it's got some intent on it, right? So now we've changed the audio envelope, the volume envelope right here. We've turned up the entire track's volume down here. Then we've gone into the actual element itself and increased the volume on it with my little meter here. So now, one more thing that we can do to maybe make this sound a little more palatable is, I love this song by Queen at the end, obviously. It's got an iconic instrumental at the front, but it's just hitting a little too much right out of the gate. Especially my music bed. It just kills the voice here, and that's to be expected. This is much better than my voice. But a simple way to help with that, very easy, is this little gray box right there. That's our fade. It's a simple fade tool. You don't have to do much to do it. I can even keep the music bed this loud because it's such an iconic song and I'm done talking. It's perfect. But if I kind of just drag this into a point where I feel like it makes some sense, let it go. And especially my music bed. It kind of makes it blend a whole lot simpler, a whole lot nicer sounding. So now, where we were from the beginning versus now, let's check it out and give it a listen. Let's work on our mix down. I don't want my music to drown out what I'm saying. So I have to be mindful of all of my volumes for all of my parts, especially my sound effects, and especially my music bed. So, a simple mixing several different volumes and types of audio 101 tutorial, and it's just as basic as it can be, but I'm working mostly out of the multi-track view, which if you're mixing stuff for radio, it's going to a lot be in this multi-track view. So these are some simple tips and tools that you can use and take with you when you're mixing down your own audio. If you have any questions, let me know. Give me a text, call, or email, and let me know what you think about it all. Thanks.